Here's section 1 of your adult sci-fi HFY comedy script, keeping it tight, high quality, and free of repetition. I offer myself to you, human! The alien princess stood in front of Ethan's desk, completely naked, her lavender skin shimmering under the office lights. Take me as your concubine before the bounty hunters take my daughter! Ethan blinked, slowly setting his coffee down. Lady, put some clothes on. This is Earth. We have HR. Lyervessa's sharp, feline eyes narrowed. Humans are so illogical. You're willing to risk war over fabric? I'm willing to risk my sanity over not being sued. Ethan muttered, rubbing his temples. This was not in the job description. He was a diplomat, not a goddamn space harem manager. Behind Lyervessa, a smaller figure peeked out, a half-human, half-alien girl around 10, arms crossed, her expression the universal look of a kid embarrassed by their mother's existence. Told you, Mom. Humans are weird. Ethan exhaled. And you are? The kid shrugged. Sorry. My mom dragged me into this mess. I just want to go to school and not get shot by bounty hunters. Ethan pinched the bridge of his nose. Okay. Back up. Who's trying to kill you? Lyervessa stepped forward, completely ignoring personal space. The Caltheri Empire has fallen. My people betrayed me. My daughter is half-human, an abomination by their laws. The only way to guarantee her safety is to secure a powerful mate. She gestured to Ethan dramatically. You are a human ambassador. Your name carries weight. You shall claim me. Ethan gave her a long, tired look. Lady, I don't even claim my expenses on time. Sorry smirked. He's funny. Can we keep him? Lyervessa placed a regal hand on Ethan's desk, knocking over a stack of classified documents. I require protection and assimilation into human society. You require companionship. This is a mutually beneficial treaty. Jesus Christ, it's not a treaty, it's a sexual harassment case. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. This had to be a prank. Somewhere, his boss was probably watching this on a security feed, laughing his ass off. Lyervessa tilted her head. I do not understand. You are an unattached male of breeding age. I am a high-value female offering myself. What is the issue? Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it. He needed a stronger coffee. Maybe a therapist. Listen. Humans don't just take concubines. We date. We build relationships. We... Lyervessa cut him off. Courtship rituals. I am skilled in seduction. My pheromones alone will make you beg to ravish me. Ethan gagged on his coffee. Please don't use ravish in a professional setting. Sorry sighed. Mom, you're making it weird again. Lyervessa ignored her. I have also studied human mating customs. Your women engage in roleplay. I am prepared. I shall enter your chambers in a nurse's uniform and... Ethan slammed his palm on the desk. No. Absolutely not. Jesus Christ, where did you even learn that? Lyervessa blinked innocently. The human internet. Oh, for fool. Ethan stopped himself before he traumatized the kid. A sharp knock on the door. Ethan looked up, half expecting security to finally drag this fever dream out of his office. Instead, his boss, a grizzled old bastard named Donahue, leaned in, looking far too entertained. Carter, got a second? Preferably one where you're not actively committing intergalactic fornication? Ethan stood so fast his chair nearly toppled. Yes. Please. I need an adult. Donahue glanced at Lyervessa, then sorry, then back at Ethan, smirking. Well, congratulations, kid. You just got assigned a royal refugee case. Earth has decided to grant asylum to the princess and her, politically complicated child. Ethan felt his soul leave his body. You've gotta be shitting me. Donahue clapped him on the back. Good luck. You're her official human handler now. Try not to let her seduce the janitor. Lyervessa beamed. This means we are officially bonded. Ethan's eye twitched. No. It means I'm your legal babysitter. Saori raised a hand. So, where are we staying? Ethan felt the weight of the universe collapse on him. He pointed at Donahue. Tell me we have a secure facility. Donahue's grin widened. Budget cuts. Closest thing we got is your apartment. Ethan stared at him. You're actually trying to kill me. Lyra placed a hand on his arm, her voice soft. I am deeply grateful, Ethan. My daughter and I have nowhere else to go. You will not regret this. Ethan sighed, rubbing his face. I already do. Saori snorted. This is gonna be hilarious. Lyra smiled coyly. Do not worry, Ethan. I will ensure our cohabitation is harmonious. Ethan glanced at her still naked body. For the last time, put on some clothes. Saori nodded solemnly. Yeah, Mom, this is just embarrassing. Lyra sighed, flicking her wrist. Her nanotech bodysuit materialized in a shimmer of silver fabric, hugging her curves in ways that made Ethan reconsider his life choices. Better? She purred. Ethan exhaled through his nose. I need a drink. Saori patted his arm. You'll need several. End of section 1. Word count, 1000, tight, punchy, no fluff. Let me know if this is hitting the mark before I continue. Rocket fire. Section 2. Ethan sat on his couch, nursing his third whiskey of the night. Lyra was in the kitchen, rummaging through his cabinets like she owned the place, while Saori sat across from him, scrolling through her tablet. The situation had escalated quickly, and now he was knee-deep in a political refugee case that involved an alien princess who had an uncomfortably firm grasp on his personal space. So, what exactly is your plan here? Ethan asked, his voice thick with the whiskey he was trying to forget the world with. You just move into my apartment, and that's it? How does this all work? Lyra emerged from the kitchen, holding a carton of cookies in her hands. Your planet's food is delightful. But you lack proper sustenance for a queen. I shall teach you the art of fine cuisine. First lesson, how to cook a proper meal for me. Ethan blinked. You're kidding, right? You may call it a joke, Lyra said, her voice silky. But you will learn to pamper me. It will be the first step in our mutual understanding. Saori looked up from her tablet, rolling her eyes. She's not kidding. Trust me, this is going to be entertaining. Ethan rubbed his temples. This is insane. I don't even know how to. Lyra placed a finger on his lips. You will learn. I have already prepared a list of your deficiencies as a man. Do you wish to rectify them? Ethan pulled her finger off his lips. I don't need a list, I need you to stop acting like you're the ruler of this damn apartment. Saori snickered. I'd be careful, Ethan. She has a very persuasive way of getting what she wants. Lyra raised an eyebrow, slowly striding over to Ethan and standing just a little too close. You are not the first man to question my intentions. She trailed a finger down his shirt, the touch somehow both soft and possessive. I think you'll find that once I've taught you a few things, you'll be begging to be my protector. Ethan recoiled slightly, not sure if he was offended or just completely thrown off by the alien princess's blatant sexual innuendo. I'm not begging for anything. Not yet, she purred, smiling like she just won a small victory. Saori snorted. Mom, seriously, you need to chill with the whole seduce him routine. He's not like the others. Lyra's gaze softened, as if she just realized she was pushing too hard. Perhaps you're right, my daughter. I shall take a gentler approach. Ethan took a deep breath. Good. That's... Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Ethan froze. Please tell me that's not more of your people. Lyra's face darkened. Unfortunately, it's not my people. At least, not the ones I welcome. Saori got up quickly. I'll check. You two stay here and, try not to kill each other. The sound of a door opening, followed by muffled voices, reached Ethan's ears. His stomach twisted. He had a sinking feeling this was going to go south. Lyra sighed, walking over to the window. Whoever it is, we must deal with them quickly. I cannot afford to have anyone learn of my true intentions. Before Ethan could respond, Sari burst back into the apartment. It's one of those bounty hunter types you've been hearing about, Mom. Lyervesa's eyes went cold. Leave it to them to spoil my peace. Ethan stood up quickly. Bounty hunters? Seriously? Are they here for her? Sari nodded. Yeah, they're probably after Mom, but they're a lot more subtle than they look. They don't want to just barge in and make a mess. Let me handle this, Ethan said, as if he could possibly defuse a galactic bounty hunter situation. He grabbed his jacket and marched toward the door. Lyervesa grabbed his arm, her grip firm. Do not be foolish. You cannot fight them, not like this. You must use your human wit. Convince them to leave. You're kidding, right? Ethan looked at her incredulously. You want me to talk them into leaving? I'm not exactly a professional negotiator. You are more skilled than you realize, Lyervesa said, her gaze intense. Your kind often uses words to disarm, not weapons. I will teach you. Ethan's heart sank. He wasn't sure if he was more terrified of the bounty hunters or the idea of being taught to negotiate by an alien princess who was clearly as unpredictable as she was dangerous. He opened the door cautiously, only to be met with a pair of men in sleek black armor. Their faces were hidden behind visors, but their body language screamed authority. One of them spoke in a low, commanding voice. We are here for the princess. You will step aside, human. Ethan cleared his throat, trying to put on the bravest face he could muster. I don't think you heard me right. She's under my protection now. If you're looking for trouble, you're in the wrong place. The bounty hunter's lips twitched beneath his helmet. We've heard worse. You'll move, or we'll move you. Ethan swallowed hard. Not if I call the cops first. The bounty hunter's posture shifted slightly, as if considering Ethan's threat. This is not your fight. Leave the princess to us, and we will leave you unscathed. Ethan stood his ground, though his mind was screaming for him to back off. I don't think that's happening today. A voice from behind him. Step aside, human. We do not wish to harm you, but we will. It was Lyervesa, standing in the doorway. Her posture was regal, defiant, and undeniably intimidating. You do not threaten my protector. Leave. Now. The bounty hunters paused, exchanging glances. The air crackled with tension. Ethan felt his pulse race. Yeah. What she said? Finally, the bounty hunters stepped back, disappearing into the night. The silence in the apartment was almost deafening. Did I just... Ethan's voice faltered. Did I just outsmart intergalactic bounty hunters with, what? A threat of police? Lyervesa regarded him with newfound respect. Your human wit is indeed impressive. You may yet prove to be an asset. Sari, who had been watching from the hallway, raised an eyebrow. Well, this is going better than expected. Maybe Earth is a good place after all. Ethan collapsed back onto the couch, his hands shaking slightly. I need a drink. Again. Lyervesa sat beside him. We will celebrate, Ethan. But first, we must discuss the matter of my accommodations. Ethan rubbed his temples. We need a new plan. Fast. End of section 2. Word count, 1000. Section 3. Ethan woke up the next morning to a quiet apartment, the air thick with the unspoken tension from the night before. Lyervesa had insisted on staying the night, though he wasn't sure why. Maybe she wanted to test his resolve, or maybe she was just trying to avoid whoever had been looking for her. Either way, he wasn't thrilled about having an alien princess in his living room, especially after the bounty hunter scare. He dragged himself out of bed, heading straight for the kitchen to make coffee. He needed something strong after the bizarre turn his life had taken. Lyervesa was already there, seated at the counter with an exotic fruit in front of her, studying it as if it were the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. She glanced up as he walked in. Good morning, human, she said, her voice smooth and almost patronizing. I trust you slept well despite my presence? Ethan grunted in response. As well as can be expected when you're trying to save a princess from her own people. She smiled, clearly amused. You have a knack for understatement, don't you? It's almost charming. Ethan just rolled his eyes. You're lucky I'm not charging you rent. Perhaps when you understand my true worth, you'll reconsider, she said, flashing him a sly smile that made him want to roll his eyes again. He poured himself a cup of coffee, grimacing at the strong black brew. I can't even begin to understand what's going on with you. You just show up, demand my protection, and then flirt with me like it's some sort of game? Lyervessa's smile turned more genuine. It's not a game. It's strategy. I need your help to secure my survival, and in return you will be, well, appropriately compensated. Ethan snorted. Appropriately compensated? What, like I'll get a medal? She leaned forward, her gaze intense. No. You'll receive much more than that. Think of the power you would have, human. You'll have an alien princess at your side, and I'll teach you things you could never have imagined. In exchange for protection, of course. Ethan leaned back, trying to ignore the heat that was building in his chest. This was getting ridiculous. You want me to protect you from your own people? How exactly am I supposed to do that? I'm just one guy. And I am one princess, she said, shrugging. Together, we will form a formidable team. You have resources that I lack. I have abilities that your people don't yet understand. He stared at her, the weight of her words hitting him harder than he wanted to admit. She was right in some ways. He was just a diplomat, but he was a diplomat with connections, with access to power. Still, he wasn't sure how he could get involved in something as dangerous as what she was proposing. He looked over at her, noticing the way her eyes softened as she spoke, as if this whole thing were more than just a political chess game to her. There was something real in the way she was trying to make him understand. Why don't you just go back to your planet and fight your battles there? He asked. She hesitated before answering, her expression darkening. My planet is lost. The war is over, and my people are scattered across the galaxy. You don't understand what's at stake here, Ethan. He frowned. What do you mean? You're not giving me the full story. Lyervessa sighed and ran a hand through her long, dark hair. I am the last of my line. The people who were loyal to me were either killed or abandoned me when the Empire fell. I have no allies left, except for the people I trust, and I trust you. Ethan leaned against the counter, considering her words. The weight of her vulnerability settled in his chest, but he quickly pushed it down. He didn't have time for feelings right now. All right, he said after a long pause. I'll help you. But only because it seems like your only option. But don't think for a second that I'm doing this out of some weird attraction. This is business. Lyervessa gave him a knowing look, her lips curving into a teasing smile. I'm sure. But don't be surprised if you find yourself tempted by the perks of our arrangement. Ethan glared at her. I'm not interested in whatever you're selling. She shrugged. We shall see. A sudden noise from the hallway cut their conversation short. Someone was at the door again. This time, Ethan wasn't nearly as calm as he had been the night before. I swear, if it's another bounty hunter. He was cut off when Saari appeared in the doorway, her expression unreadable. It's not a bounty hunter. But you should be careful who you trust, Ethan. Ethan raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? The war may be over, but not all of the forces after my mother are gone, Saari said. There are people out there who want her dead or imprisoned, and they'll do whatever it takes to get to her. Ethan felt his heart drop. He had just barely handled one encounter with alien bounty hunters. Now there were more people involved, and the situation was getting increasingly dangerous. Lyervessa stood up, her face hardening. You're right. We need to act fast. Ethan turned to her, his frustration boiling over. So what now? You want me to play hero again? No, she said, her voice calm but firm. Now we make sure no one else tries to take what's mine. And you, Ethan, are going to help me make sure of it. Ethan glanced at Saari, then back at Lyervesa. He was in deeper than he had ever imagined. What had started as a weird, chaotic situation was quickly turning into a full-blown political struggle with stakes far beyond what he could have ever anticipated. "You better not be playing me, princess," Ethan muttered, though part of him knew that the game was just beginning. Lyervesa gave him a slow smile. "Would you really trust anyone else?" Ethan didn't have an answer for that. End of Section 3. Word count, 1000. Section 4. The days that followed were a blur of confusion, tension, and constant second-guessing. Ethan had agreed to help Lyervesa, but he wasn't entirely sure what that meant. There were far too many moving pieces, and the more he found out, the more complicated things became. He knew enough about political intrigue to understand that nothing ever came without a price, but this? This was something else entirely. They spent most of their time navigating the intricacies of Earth's politics and power structures. Lyervesa, with her otherworldly charm, seemed to glide through meetings, her alien beauty both disarming and intimidating. But Ethan knew better. Behind those mesmerizing eyes was a mind capable of manipulation, a trait that both fascinated and disturbed him. He never quite trusted her, but he was starting to see that trust wasn't what mattered here. Her daughter, Saari, though, seemed more grounded. She was sharp, intelligent, and far more human than Lyervesa, which made her easier to relate to. She seemed to understand the danger they were in, and her pragmatic approach made Ethan feel slightly more at ease. But even she didn't know what was really going on. No one did. Ethan's thoughts were interrupted by Lyervesa entering his office with her usual grace, a wicked smile playing at her lips. "We need to talk," she said, as if there hadn't been enough talking already. Ethan barely looked up from the papers in front of him. "We've talked about everything already. What more is there to say?" She sat across from him, leaning forward in a way that made it difficult for him to ignore her. "Oh, I think you'll find this conversation a bit more interesting." Ethan finally looked up, raising an eyebrow. "And why's that?" Lyervesa smirked. "Because it's time to move things forward." Ethan wasn't sure what she meant by that, but a sinking feeling told him he wasn't going to like it. "You've been moving things forward for weeks. What now? You want me to marry you?" She chuckled softly, almost mockingly. "Not quite. But it does involve making you look more connected." "Connected?" Ethan repeated, still not understanding. "Connected to what?" Lyervesa stood up, her eyes flashing with an intensity that sent a shiver down his spine. "To me, of course." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "What are you talking about?" "I need to be seen as someone who has the right connections. I need to appear untouchable. And you, Ethan, are going to be the one to give me that." He wasn't sure whether to laugh or feel disgusted. "So, now you're going to use me as some sort of political prop?" Her smile didn't waver. "You're more than a prop, Ethan. I may be the one who needs protection, but in this game, you're just as important. Your name, your influence, what you have in this world, will help me get the resources I need to survive." He stood up abruptly, feeling the weight of her words settle in. This wasn't some strange flirtation anymore. This was real. And it was terrifying. "I didn't sign up for this, Lyervesa. I said I'd help you, but this is crossing the line." Lyervesa's expression softened for just a moment, as though she were seeing him for the first time. "I understand you're afraid, Ethan. But this isn't just about me anymore. If I fall, my enemies will use my daughter as leverage. And if they get to her, they will use her against me. And we both know what that means." His heart tightened at the mention of her daughter. He had seen Saari enough to know that she wasn't just a pawn in her mother's schemes. She was something more. Something precious. "I get it. But you're asking me to put everything on the line. My career, my reputation. Hell, you're asking me to risk my life." Lyervesa took a step closer, her eyes locked on his. "I would never ask you to do anything you weren't capable of, Ethan. But sometimes, the price of survival is steep. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about ensuring that your future, your world, isn't controlled by those who would use people like us for their own gain. Ethan exhaled, his frustration mounting. You think I'm some sort of superhero, don't you? She smirked. In this scenario, yes. But don't get too cocky. You're not invincible. He felt the weight of her words. This wasn't a game. He wasn't playing a hero for fun. Lives were on the line, including his own. And the more he became entangled in Lyervessa's world, the harder it would be to walk away. But then, as if reading his mind, she added, I've already made my choice. You are my protector. No one else. That phrase, no one else, stirred something deep inside him. It wasn't just a commitment to her safety. It was a challenge. A promise that he wasn't sure he was ready for. So what do you want from me? He asked, his voice quieter now. Lyervessa smiled, the promise of more trouble hanging in the air. For you to be the man I need. The man who'll help me survive. But also, the man who'll keep my secrets. And maybe, just maybe, the one who'll make me reconsider all the rules I've been taught to follow. Her words hit him harder than he expected. He knew what she was implying, but he wasn't ready to go there. Yet a small part of him, one he had been trying to ignore, wondered what it would be like to let go of everything he built for himself and just live. Live in the chaos that was her life. But he couldn't. Not yet. Not until he knew if he could trust her. I don't know if I can do this, Ethan muttered. But I'm in. For now. I'll help you. But after that? Lyervessa didn't answer. She simply stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on his chest. After that, we'll see where this path takes us. Ethan stared at her, feeling a mix of dread and excitement well up inside him. There was no turning back now. And no matter what happened, he couldn't help but feel that he was about to lose everything, and gain something he hadn't even known he wanted. End of section 4. Word count, 1000.